We have one of the best rivalries in sports. We have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is your Week 11 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe button if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the Steelers because they are the home team. They're coming off a very close win against the Washington Commanders last week. They defeated the Washington Commanders 28-27. And on the day, Russell Wilson was inconsistent in the first half. The entire offense was. But in the second half, he got things going. 14-28, 195 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns to 1 interception. And he had 2 of those passing touchdowns in the first half. He had a passing touchdown to George Pickens and a passing touchdown to Big Pat at the tight end position as well. In this game against the Baltimore Ravens, you have to use motion to open up the rushing attack. We've seen the Steelers go out there and be a top rushing team in the NFL. But at the same time, the Baltimore Ravens have the best rushing defense in the NFL. They make teams one-dimensional. Both of these teams are similar in the aspect of running the football and stopping the run. But the Steelers, they're onto something. Najee Harris had 3 games in a row with over 100 yards rushing. Last week, unfortunately, he only had 53 rushing yards. He averaged 2.5 yards a carry, 1 rushing touchdown. Jaylen Warren on the day was very good. 66 rushing yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, but he had a major fumble on the 1-yard line. The Steelers cannot afford to go out there and have those costly mistakes. And every single game this season, the Steelers have dealt with a lot of penalties and a lot of miscues. They have had a lot of red zone issues in the past against the New York Jets and against the New York Giants. You can't have this in the game against the Baltimore Ravens because you're facing the best quarterback in the NFL currently and Lamar Jackson. You have to push the football in the red zone and get you a touchdown. And not only just that, no more fake punts and putting teams into the best situation possible. That's what happened last week with the Washington Commanders. It was a close game, but a lot of miscues on the Steelers and the Washington Commanders as well. The Baltimore Ravens have the best rushing defense, but they have the worst passing defense in the NFL. Russell Wilson is more than capable of taking advantage of that, but you have to go out there and get creative. If you're going to throw a bunch of lob passes deep down the sideline, I don't think that's the way to go. The Baltimore Ravens secondary, they're struggling right now, but they have a lot of good players at the same time. They have Marlon Humphrey. The man has 4 interceptions on the season. He's still a top cornerback in the NFL. They have Brandon as well. Brandon is a solid cornerback. Just because they rank in the bottom in terms of passing defense, they can go out there and they can cause some interceptions. Look at what they did against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football. And you have to take care of the football in this matchup because if you don't, Lamar Jackson is more than capable of going out there and turn those turnovers over to points. Look at what happened to the Cincinnati Bengals last week. 1 fumble, and that was pretty much the ball game for the Bengals. It was all downhill from there. Take care of the football, use motion to open up the rushing game. And even though the Ravens' rushing defense is very good, do not give up on the run game. Get Jaylen Warren involved, get Cordell Patterson involved in the running game, and obviously get Najee Harris involved in the rushing attack as well. It's going to come down to the offensive line adjustments. Can Broderick Jones continue to step up? He's looked solid at certain points of times this season, but he's been the weakest link with the offensive line. You have Mason McCormick and Zach Frazier. This is a huge test for them because the Baltimore Ravens front 7, in terms of their interior defensive line and their linebackers, that's where their defense is really golden at. So you want to go out there and try to get a big push up front like how you have done over the last few weeks. And they struggled to do that last week against the Washington Commanders. Get Mike Williams involved and George Pickens as well. George Pickens had 91 receiving yards last week, and one of those catches went for 34 yards. He was able to break a lot of tackles, and he's one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. Get him involved. Mike Williams, 1 catch, 32 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. That's the touchdown that put them over the top over the Washington Commanders. Get him involved in this game more. He only played 9 snaps last week because he was traded earlier in the week. Now he gets to go out there and get acclimated in this system with Russell Wilson. He can really make a lot of major plays in this matchup as well. And Calvin Austin III, he's going to be key. Get the football out quick to him as well. There was a lot of times last week to where Russell Wilson was holding on to the football for too long because they're trying to set up those deep shots down the field. You're going to have to do more than that against the Baltimore Ravens. Do more crossing routes and do some seam routes here and there. But you can beat this team underneath. Just go with the slant and take what the defense gives you and avoid Roquan Smith all times. Do not test Roquan Smith in coverage. He's known as an elite linebacker in terms of stopping the run, but he's one of the best pass coverage linebackers in the NFL as well. Avoid him across the middle of the field. And Kyle Hamilton is questionable for this game. Pay attention to where he is as well, because it's a telltale sign of what defensive coverage they're playing. If he's a single high safety, they're playing a lot of man. If he's inside the box, more than likely, they may send a blitz and they're going to try to pressure wide receivers up front. So just pay attention to those key matchups. Far as the defense for the Steelers, they played very well last week. They did a very good job of stopping the run. They usually do a good job of stopping running backs that are bigger. It's the faster running backs that have hurt the Steelers in the past. The problem is this. The Baltimore Ravens have Lamar Jackson. He has the ability to go out there and take off whenever. They also have Derrick Henry, and they have Keaton Mitchell. I think the Steelers will do a very good job of containing Derrick Henry in this game. It's Keaton Mitchell. That's who I'm worried about. And you have Patrick Queen, who is a former linebacker with the Baltimore Ravens. They drafted him. And there's some bad blood there. He wants to go back out there and get after his former team. He had a solid week last week against the Washington Commanders, and this was easily his best game with the Steelers up to this point. And he has started to play better the last 3 to 4 games with the Steelers. Pay attention to how they may try to test him in coverage. You also have a Landon Roberts as well, and you also have a rookie in Peyton Wilson who has been very good this season. But you have to go out there and stop the run and go out there and put a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, and also Nick Herbig as well. Nick Herbig will come in for Alex Highsmith. Alex Highsmith is out for this game. He's dealing with an ankle injury, but also pay attention to this. The Steelers did more than just go out there and trade for Mike Williams. They traded for Preston Smith as well, who is a very good veteran pass rusher. You have to go out there, establish a line of scrimmage, push them back, and put a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson. Do not give Lamar Jackson a lot of time to go out there and air the football out, because he'll run around and he will like a video game character. It's part of the reason to why right now he's a leading MVP candidate. When I look at the wide receivers for the Baltimore Ravens, Joey Porter Jr. last week, he was getting exposed by Terry McLaurin. They have wide receivers across the board. They have Zay Flowers, who may give the Steelers a lot of problems. Zay Flowers is a very good wide receiver. He's a true number one. Rashard Bateman has become a very good wide receiver as well. Is also another player with the Baltimore Ravens. They made a trade to go out there and get Deontay Johnson. It's going to come down to the secondary and the type of looks that they want to give up. I expect for them to go out there and play a lot of man, but they may flip back to playing a lot of cover 2 zone. Pay attention to that. In cover 2 zones, they have been a better defense. But at the same time, when they go against elite level quarterbacks, it's exposed to those zone coverages. So they may go out there and they may put Joey Porter Jr. on a guy like Zay Flowers. And the next thing you know, you have Micah Fitzpatrick controlling the middle of the field, similar to what they did last week against Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson, they have a lot of similarities. Only difference is this. Lamar Jackson is a veteran quarterback and he's faster than Jaden Daniels. The Steelers, they have the blueprint. When you look at Lamar Jackson and his numbers against the Steelers, they're not good. Lamar Jackson is 2-4 against the Steelers, 4 passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions with 870 passing yards. This is going to be a good matchup. Now let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Easily one of the best teams in the NFL. Last week they went out there, they were down by a huge amount to the Cincinnati Bengals. The crowd was booing the offense. They were booing Todd Monken because they were not able to go out there and start out on fire. But you guys know how the Baltimore Ravens get down. They came back. It came down to a fumble by Marlon Humphrey. He gets the football at Chase Brown's hands, and the Baltimore Ravens come back and they win the game 35-34. The Baltimore Ravens have been in a lot of shootouts this season. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, you look at a guy like Lamar Jackson. He's going out there and he's having another MVP caliber season. Right now, he's easily the best quarterback in the NFL. The man has 24 passing touchdowns. That's tied for first in the NFL to just 2 interceptions. And he has the best QBR. In this game against the Steelers, get the football out quick and establish that run game up front. It's going to be tough because the Steelers have one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. But at the same time, you look at the offense with the Ravens. That's one of their strengths, is to run the football with Derrick Henry and to run the football with Keaton Mitchell as well. I would get Keaton Mitchell involved in this matchup. I know that he just came off the injury reserve list and he was coming off a torn ACL. That man has speed. The Steelers have struggled to stop speed running backs. Look at what Tyron Tracy did against them when they they were playing the New York Giants. The man averaged 7 yards a carry. You go out there, you can do some jump cuts here and there. The next thing you know, you may get a big game, but you have to weigh down on the Steelers offense, on the Steelers defense, and win by time and possession. Do not let TJ Watt and Nick Herbig and Preston Smith get to pin their ears back and come after the quarterback. Keep them guessing and get the football out quick as well. Kill them with quick game. Force them to play some press man coverage, and then you could possibly beat them over the top with Zay Flowers. And you look at what happened last week. That was the key blueprint for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson was 25 or 33, 290 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Zay Flowers did not do much, only had 34 receiving yards. But we've seen Zay Flowers in the past. Look at what they did against the Denver Broncos. And that's a solid defense that they went against. They were marching up and down the field over and over again. I understand it's different. It's a difference between the Steelers defense and the Denver Broncos defense, but they're capable of getting some big plays on the Steelers. You also have Rashard Bateman, 54 receiving yards last week, 1 receiving touchdown. Mark Andrews, he went out there, 68 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. What is so interesting with the Baltimore Ravens, they have weapons all over across the board. Isaiah Likely is questionable for this game. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, but even if he's not ready to go, you have Deontay Johnson, who is a former Steeler. And you have all those other weapons as well. But it starts with the run game with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Keaton Mitchell as well. Do not get away from the run game. We've seen the Ravens do this in the past. And it's not because Lamar Jackson cannot go out there and carry the offense with his arm. He can. But Coach Tomlin in the past has stopped the run game with the Ravens. They pin their ears back. They play Katang coverage, and next thing you know, Lamar Jackson gets confused, and TJ Watt's coming out of nowhere for the sack. And they have to catch the football in this game as well. Last year, when these two teams went against each other in the first matchup, Zay Flowers had some drops. You don't want to see that in this matchup. Rashard Bateman against the Cleveland Browns a couple weeks ago had a major drop. I understand the sun was in his eyes. You have to overcome that. Neither team can go out there and make too many mistakes against each other. This is a division matchup, and it's going to be a close game. But you got to take care of Lamar Jackson, and you have to go out there and let him air it out when he needs to. But you got to run the football against the Steelers team, and you got to establish the offensive line going against the defensive line. Because if you don't, you're playing into the Steelers' hands, and the next thing you know, you'll be on your way going back home with an L. When I look at the defense for the Baltimore Ravens, the front seven matches up very well. They should be able to go out there and stop the run and put a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson. The problem is this. Can the cornerbacks go out there and stop the deep passing attack? And I know you may look at Marlon Humphrey and say, man, he's an interception goon this season. Yes and no. The way that Russell Wilson's putting the ball at an angle, it's not even giving the defensive back a chance to even jump up and take the football away. Yes, he threw an interception, but he overshot George Pickens. That's his first interception this season. When it's tight on the sideline, he's throwing it right on the white marker to where George Pickens can come with it on the outside shoulder. You have to play press coverage in this game, and you have to take away George Pickens. Mike Williams has a lot of ability to go out there and beat you over the top. Make him do it repeatedly. And if he does, then you make those adjustments. But you have to get that pressure on Russell Wilson with Kyle Van Noy and Madubuike as well. And Kyle Van Noy has been one of the best pass rushers in the NFL this season. When you look at Roquan Smith is an elite linebacker. I'm not worried about him in this matchup. You also look at Nate Wiggins. He's a rookie. He has to step up in this game. There's going to be a lot of things coming his way. And Arthur Smith is a tough offensive coordinator. They're going to try to go out there and establish the run. And they're going to try to be a very physical team against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have the defense, just like how the Steelers do as well. I think the Ravens defense is going to be a little more prepared this week than they were last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, because the Cincinnati Bengals, they have Jamar Chase. The Steelers have George Pickens. So we'll see what happens in that regard. With that being said, this is my game of the week. This has potential to be the game of the year. This is the first matchup between both of these teams this season. And with that being said, I've picked the Steelers the last 3 games to go out there and win. I'm picking the Steelers again in tight fashion. I have the Steelers winning this game 27-24, but it can go either way. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The Baltimore Ravens or the Steelers? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.